The conference hall stretched wide beneath the crystal dome of Station Harmony. Ambassador Chen Wei sat at the human delegation table, her fingers tight around the data pad. Around her, representatives from 43 species filled the chamber. Some had scales, others had feathers, and a few existed as clouds of organized particles inside containment suits. All of them ignored her raised hand. The Palaxian speaker, a creature that looked like a mantis made of silver metal, clicked its mandibles. The matter of the frontier colony is unfortunate. However, the Galactic Council cannot intervene in affairs beyond our established borders. The Eternal Calm Treaty is clear on this matter. Chen stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. The sound echoed in the vast chamber. 12,000 humans are dead. Men, women, children. The colony at New Johannesburg was glassed from orbit. Someone burned it until nothing remained but ash and melted rock. Regrettable, the Palaxian said without emotion, but not actionable under council law. A Thorian representative floating in its water-filled sphere added its voice through a translator. Violence breeds violence, Ambassador Chen. Perhaps your colony provoked the attack. Humans are known for their aggressive nature. Chen felt her jaw clench. 47 years. That was how long humanity had been part of this galactic community. 47 years of being treated like children who did not understand the rules. 47 years of watching other species profit from human labor, while denying Earth a real voice in decisions. We have evidence, Chen said, activating the holo display above her table. Images appeared in the air. Burned buildings, crater fields where homes once stood. The last transmission from the colony showed ships with unfamiliar markings firing weapons from high orbit. These attackers need to be found. They need to face justice. The Jathir representative, an ancient reptilian being with eyes that had seen thousands of years, spoke in a voice like grinding stones. Justice is a human concept, Ambassador. The galaxy operates on order. The eternal calm has kept peace for 3,000 years. We will not risk that peace for one colony. Chen looked around the chamber. Not one species met her eyes. They all looked away or busied themselves with their own data pads. The message was clear. Humanity did not matter enough. She gathered her materials and walked out. Her aide, Marcus, followed close behind. They are not going to help us, Marcus whispered. I know, Chen said. Back on the transport ship heading to Earth, Chen recorded her report. She knew what would happen next. She had known from the moment she saw the images from New Johannesburg. Earth would not accept this answer. The United Defense Coalition met 3 days later in Geneva. The room was smaller than Station Harmony but filled with more determination. Military leaders, government officials, and scientists crowded around the central table. On the main screen, the evidence from New Johannesburg played on loop. Admiral Sarah Okonkwo stood at the front. She was tall, her uniform crisp, her dark eyes sharp. She had been born in Lagos, trained at the Joint Earth Military Academy, and spent 20 years preparing for a war everyone said would never come. The Council has made their position clear, Admiral Okonkwo said. They will not act. They will not investigate. They will not help us. Then what do we do? Asked the Chinese premier. Admiral Okonkwo pressed a button. The screen changed. It showed a ship, not like the exploration vessels humanity used for trade and research. The ship was dark, angular, and massive. Weapons covered its hull like scales on a predator. This is Project Ragnarok, Admiral Okonkwo said. We started building it 5 years ago, against Council regulations. It violates every treaty we signed. It exceeds every weapon limitation they imposed on us. The room went silent. Everyone stared at the image. The UED's Indomitable, Admiral Okonkwo continued. 2.3 kilometers long, 50 railgun batteries, 20 fusion lance arrays, missile pods carrying kinetic kill vehicles, a quantum jump drive that can cross the galaxy faster than any Council ship, and an artificial intelligence core named Athena that can process tactical data faster than any organic brain. If we launch this ship, the Council will expel us, said the European Union representative. If we do nothing, they will think they can kill humans without consequence, Admiral Okonkwo replied. The Council had 3,000 years of peace because no one challenged them. They grew comfortable. They grew lazy. They forgot that peace without justice is just another word for surrender. Chen spoke from her seat. I spent 47 years trying to make them hear us. They will never listen to words. Maybe they will listen to this. The vote was not unanimous, but it was decisive. Project Ragnarok would launch. The Indomitable would hunt down whoever destroyed New Johannesburg, and humanity would finally show the galaxy what they were truly capable of when pushed too far. In the Kuiper Belt, beyond Neptune's orbit, the hidden shipyard came to life. Thousands of workers moved through the massive structure. The Indomitable sat in the center dock, dark and waiting. Engineers ran final checks. Weapons officers calibrated targeting systems. The AI core, Athena, ran through millions of combat simulations. Admiral Okonkwo walked onto the bridge for the first time. It was different from exploration ships. Every station was designed for war. Tactical displays showed 360 degrees around the ship. Weapon controls were within easy reach. The captain's chair sat elevated, giving a clear view of everything. "Athena status report," Admiral Okonkwo said. A female voice, almost human but not quite, responded. "All systems operational, Admiral. Weapons charged. Jump drive ready. I have calculated 47 possible routes to the frontier." "I am eager to begin." Admiral Okonkwo smiled slightly. Athena had been trained on every human military engagement in history. The AI had learned from humanity's wars, strategies, and victories. It thought like a human but calculated like a machine. "Take us out," Admiral Okonkwo ordered. "Plot a course for the New Johannesburg system, and send a message to Station Harmony." "What should the message say?" Athena asked. Admiral Okonkwo looked at the stars ahead. "Tell them the hunt has begun." The Indomitable cut through space like a knife through water. Admiral Okonkwo watched the view screen as the ship moved past Jupiter's orbit. Behind them, Earth grew smaller. Ahead, the unknown waited. "Jump drive charged," reported Lieutenant Park from the navigation station. "We can reach the New Johannesburg system in 6 hours." 6 hours. The old colony ships took 3 weeks to make the same journey. The Council's fastest vessels needed 4 days. Humanity had built something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. "Execute jump," Admiral Okonkwo ordered. Space twisted. The stars stretched into lines. The Indomitable vanished from the Sol system and reappeared 6 light-years away in a flash of blue light. The ruins of New Johannesburg floated in the darkness. The planet's surface still glowed red in places where the orbital bombardment had melted the ground. Debris from destroyed buildings drifted in orbit. The sight made everyone on the bridge fall silent. "Athena, scan for any trace of the attackers," Admiral Okonkwo said quietly. "Scanning," the AI responded. "I am detecting residual energy signatures. Weapon discharge patterns match no known Council species. The signatures lead away from this system toward coordinates in the Veil sector." "The Veil sector is uncharted," said Commander Rodriguez, the tactical officer. "Council ships avoid that area." "Then that is where we go," Admiral Okonkwo said. "Follow the trail." 3 jumps later, the Indomitable emerged in a dead system. No planets orbited the dying red star, but something else was there. A station, massive and dark, floated in the void, and around it ships moved. "Hundreds of ships, contact," Athena announced. "Multiple vessels. Configuration matches the energy signatures from New Johannesburg. I am also detecting 3 larger vessels approaching our position." On the view screen, 3 ships appeared. They were blocky, covered in armor plating and bristling with weapons. Each one was nearly a kilometer long. The design was brutal and efficient. A message came through, audio only. The voice was harsh, filled with clicking sounds. The translator struggled to make sense of it. "Unknown vessel. You have entered Kresh Dominion space. Surrender your ship or be destroyed." Admiral Okonkwo looked at Commander Rodriguez. "Battle stations. All weapons hot." Alarms sounded throughout the Indomitable. Crew members rushed to their positions. Weapon systems came online. Shields activated. The ship's massive railguns rotated toward the approaching vessels. "Return message," Admiral Okonkwo said. "This is Admiral Sarah Okonkwo of the United Earth Defense Ship Indomitable. You destroyed our colony at New Johannesburg. 12,000 humans died. I am here for justice. Surrender now or face the consequences." The response was immediate. The 3 Kresh ships opened fire. Energy weapons, bright blue and hot, cut through space toward the Indomitable. "Evasive maneuvers," Admiral Okonkwo ordered. "Athena, you have tactical control. Show them what we can do." The Indomitable moved. It did not move like Council ships, slow and careful. It moved like a fighter, rolling and diving. The Kresh weapons missed, passing harmlessly into empty space. Athena's voice remained calm. "Engaging targets. Railgun batteries 1 through 10 fire." The sound was like thunder. 10 railguns fired simultaneously, launching metal slugs at 40% the speed of light. The projectiles were simple, just dense metal. But at that speed, they did not need to be anything else. The first Kresh ship never had time to react. 3 slugs punched through its shields like they were not there. The armor crumpled. The ship broke in half, spilling atmosphere and debris into space. The second ship tried to maneuver, but Athena predicted every move. More railguns fired. The slugs tore through engines, weapon arrays, and command sections. The ship went dark, tumbling away powerless. The third ship managed to fire another volley. Energy weapons struck the Indomitable's shields. The bridge shook, but the shields held. Hull integrity at 97%, reported the engineering station. Shields regenerating. Fusion lance batteries target the third vessel, Athena said. Firing. 20 points of light appeared on the Indomitable's hull. Beams of superheated plasma, focused and controlled, lanced out toward the third Kresh ship. The beams hit with the heat of a small sun. The Kresh ship's shields collapsed. Its armor melted. Explosions rippled across its hull as internal systems overloaded. 11 minutes after the battle began, all 3 Kresh ships were destroyed or disabled. The Indomitable hung in space, barely damaged. Tactical assessment, Admiral Okonkwo said. The Kresh possess older technology, Athena reported. Their shields are weak against kinetic weapons. Their armor cannot withstand sustained plasma bombardment. Their tactical responses are predictable. Admiral, these vessels pose minimal threat to us. Admiral Okonkwo stood from her chair. Commander Rodriguez, organize boarding teams. I want to know everything about these Kresh. Where they come from, how many ships they have, and how many colonies they have destroyed. The boarding teams found horror. Inside the disabled Kresh ship, they discovered holding cells. Hundreds of them. Most were empty now, but signs remained. Alien alphabet scratched into walls. Biological waste. And in one cell, survivors, 43 humans barely alive. They had been prisoners for months, taken from New Johannesburg before the bombardment. The Kresh used them as slaves, forcing them to work in mines and factories. But there were others too. Palaxians, Thorians, species from across Council space. Over 300 beings in total, all enslaved by the Kresh. Get them to medical, Admiral Okonkwo ordered. I want everyone treated and interviewed. Find out everything they know. The survivors told their stories. The Kresh Dominion had operated for centuries, raiding frontier colonies. They took slaves, resources, anything of value. They hid in the uncharted regions beyond where Council ships traveled. The Council knew about them, or should have known, but did nothing. Admiral Okonkwo stood in the medical bay watching doctors treat the survivors. A young woman, barely 20 years old, looked up at her with hollow eyes. You came for us, the woman whispered. The Council said no one would come. They said we were too far out, that we did not matter. Admiral Okonkwo knelt beside the medical bed. You matter. Every human matters. And I promise you, the Kresh will pay for what they did. On the bridge, Athena processed the data recovered from the Kresh ship. Admiral, I have located the Kresh Dominion's primary base. It is 7 jumps from here. The station we saw earlier is only an outpost. The main base contains their fleet command and over 40 capital ships. Then that is where we go, Admiral Okonkwo said. But first, send a message. Broadcast it on all Council frequencies. Let them see what we found here. The message went out across the galaxy. Images of the freed slaves. Records from the Kresh ship showing centuries of raids. And a simple statement from Admiral Okonkwo. This is what happens when good beings do nothing. The Council had peace because they chose not to look at suffering beyond their borders. Humanity will not make that choice. We are coming for the Kresh, and we are just getting started. The message reached Station Harmony 6 hours later. The Council chamber erupted into chaos. Some species demanded Earth be punished. Others stayed silent, guilt clear in their eyes. And a few, quietly, began to wonder if maybe the humans were right. Station Harmony burned with argument. The Council chamber, usually so orderly and calm, had become a place of shouting and accusation. Ambassador Chen stood at the human delegation table, watching the chaos she had helped create. The Palaxian speaker struck its gavel against the podium repeatedly. Order, we must have order. But there was no order. The Thorian representative's water sphere bubbled with agitation. The humans have violated the Eternal Calm Treaty. They built weapons beyond Class 3 limits. They engaged in military action without Council approval. This cannot stand. A delegate from the Rec Unity, a species of cybernetic beings, projected its voice through speakers. The humans also freed over 300 slaves, including members of council species. Should we punish them for that? The treaty is absolute, the Palaxian insisted. Without it, we have chaos. We have war. Chen activated her microphone. Her voice cut through the noise. You want to talk about the treaty? Let us talk about it. For 3,000 years you have hidden behind the eternal calm. You called it peace. But it was not peace. It was just you choosing not to see the suffering that happened beyond your comfortable borders. The frontier is dangerous, said a Jathir elder. We cannot protect every colony in uncharted space. Chen pulled up the data Athena had sent. It appeared on every screen in the chamber. This is data from a council monitoring station. Station Echo 7. It has been in Kresh territory for 200 years. Every raid, every attack, every slave taken. It was all recorded, all reported to the council. And what did you do? Nothing. The chamber went silent. Species looked at their data pads, reading the evidence. Reports going back centuries. Requests for help denied. Warnings ignored. The council had known about the Kresh Dominion. They had simply chosen not to care. This changes nothing, the Palaxian said, but its voice was weaker now. The humans still broke the treaty. They must surrender the indomitable and face sanctions. No, Chen said simply. Earth will not surrender our ship. We will not stand down. And if you try to force us, you will learn exactly why we built weapons you fear. This is a threat against the council. The Thorian representative bubbled. This is a promise, Chen replied. Humanity protects its own. And we just proved we will protect others too. If the council will not act, then we will. The Palaxian speaker called for a vote. Sanctions against Earth, expulsion from council space. Economic isolation. The vote passed, but not unanimously. 17 species abstained. 5 voted against the sanctions. The cracks in the council's unity were showing. Chen left the chamber with her head high. Marcus caught up to her in the corridor. They are really doing it. They are cutting us off. Let them, Chen said. We have trade agreements with frontier species. We have resources. And we have something they do not have. We have the will to act. While the council argued, the indomitable hunted. Admiral Okonkwo followed the trail deeper into uncharted space. Each jump revealed more horror. Slave processing stations, mining operations using captive labor, Kresh patrol ships that fled at the sight of the human destroyer. The Kresh are running scared, Commander Rodriguez observed. Every ship we encounter retreats immediately. Good, Admiral Okonkwo said. Fear is a tool. Let them spread the word. Let them know humanity is coming, Athena interrupted. Admiral, I have detected another council monitoring station. Station Echo 12. Shall I access its database? Do it. The data that came back was damning. 800 years of records. The Kresh Dominion had been operating since before some current council species had achieved spaceflight. Over 40 million beings enslaved. 17 different species. 8 of them were council members. How many people knew about this? Commander Rodriguez asked quietly. Enough, Admiral Okonkwo said. Broadcast it. All channels. Let the galaxy see what their precious council ignored. The data spread like fire through the galactic network. On frontier worlds, protests began. Species that had lost colonies now understood why. The council had not been unable to help. They had been unwilling. On the industrial world of Rec Prime, the cybernetic merchants calculated. The humans had better weapons, better ships, better technology, and most importantly, they had the will to use it. Business opportunities were emerging. On the ancient world of Jathir, the elders gathered in their council chambers. They had seen empires rise and fall. They recognized the pattern. Change was coming, whether the council accepted it or not. The Kresh Dominion recognized the threat too. In their fortress system deep in uncharted space, the Kresh overlord assembled its war fleet. 47 capital ships, 200 support vessels, thousands of fighters. The largest military force assembled in 3,000 years. The target was not the indomitable. The target was Earth itself. If we destroy their homeworld, the humans will surrender, the overlord said to its commanders. They are alone. The council has abandoned them. They have one ship. We have a fleet. The Kresh Armada jumped toward Sol system. It would take them 11 days to reach Earth. The Indomitable was 7 jumps away, pursuing Kresh raiders near the frontier. On Earth, the defense network detected the incoming threat. Sirens sounded across the planet. Every military installation went to alert status. The civilian population was evacuated to underground shelters. In Geneva, the United Defense Coalition reconvened. Admiral Marcus Chen, Sarah Okonkwo's second-in-command, stood at the central display. The Kresh fleet will arrive in 10 days. The Indomitable cannot return in time. We are on our own. What are our options? Asked the Japanese premier. Admiral Chen smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Project Ragnarok was not just one ship. The display changed. It showed 8 ships identical to the Indomitable, emerging from hidden shipyards, around Earth near the Moon, in the asteroid belt, each one armed, ready, and crewed by humanity's best. The UEDS Defiant, Relentless, Vengeance, Thunderchild, Warspite, Dreadnought, Nemesis, and Valiant, Admiral Chen said. We hoped for peace. We prepared for war, and now the Kresh are bringing war to our doorstep. 8 ships against their entire fleet, the Chinese premier said. Can we win? We do not have a choice, Admiral Chen replied. But yes, we can win. The Kresh have never faced real resistance. They have never fought someone willing to do whatever it takes. They are about to learn what happens when you threaten humanity's home. The 8 destroyers moved to the edge of the Sol system, forming a defensive perimeter. Each ship's AI core, all children of Athena's programming, calculated trajectories and tactics. Each crew trained on simulators preparing for the battle to come. On the Indomitable, Admiral Okonkwo received the news. Her ship was too far away. Earth would face the Kresh fleet without her. Athena, maximum speed. We need to get home. Admiral, even at maximum quantum jump, we will arrive 3 hours after the Kresh fleet. The battle will be over before we arrive. Then we will make sure we arrive in time to avenge Earth or celebrate victory, Admiral Okonkwo said. Take us home. All speed. The Indomitable turned toward Sol and jumped. Behind it, freed slaves from a dozen species watched the human ship disappear. They had seen what one human destroyer could do. Now the Kresh were bringing war to a planet that had built 9 of them. Ambassador Chen stood on the observation deck of Station Harmony, looking toward Earth's distant star. She knew what was coming. She had watched the Kresh fleet pass through Council space, and not one Council ship moved to intercept it. The eternal calm held. The Council watched. And humanity stood alone exactly as they always had. The Kresh Armada emerged from quantum space like a storm. 47 capital ships and their support fleet spread across the outer Sol system. On the flagship, the Kresh Overlord studied the tactical display with satisfaction. Only 8 human ships, it said to its war council. They are fools. They cannot hope to stop us. Overlord, these are the ships that destroyed our outpost vessels, a commander warned. They possess weapons we have not encountered before. Numbers matter, the Overlord said. We have 47 capital ships. They have 8. Mathematics favors us. Begin the attack. Destroy everything. At the edge of the Sol system, Admiral Marcus Chen stood on the bridge of the UEDS Defiant. Around his ship, the other 7 human destroyers held formation. The tactical display showed the Kresh fleet approaching. They outnumber us nearly 6-1, Commander Park observed. Yes, Admiral Chen said, but we have advantages they do not understand. We are defending our home. We know this system. Every asteroid, every orbital path, every gravity well, and most importantly, we are human. He activated the fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Admiral Chen. Today the Kresh bring war to Earth. They think we are weak because we are alone. They think we will surrender because they have more ships. They are wrong. Every human who ever lived is watching us now. Every ancestor who fought for survival, who built civilizations, who reached for the stars. We are their legacy. We will not fail them. Battle Formation Delta. Engage at will. The 8 human destroyers moved, not forward toward the Kresh fleet but sideways, spreading out. They used the asteroid belt as cover, moving between rocks the size of mountains. The Kresh fleet charged forward, confident in their numbers. Their weapons had range. Their shields were strong. They had destroyed countless colonies with these same tactics. But the humans did not fight like the species the Kresh had faced before. The Valiant emerged from behind an asteroid, fired a full railgun broadside into the nearest Kresh cruiser, and disappeared back into cover before return fire could hit. The Kresh ship reeled, its shields collapsed, armor breached. The Thunderchild used the gravity of Jupiter to slingshot around the gas giant at incredible speed, coming at the Kresh formation from an unexpected angle. Its fusion lances carved through 3 support ships before the Kresh could react. Athena's sister AIs coordinated perfectly. They shared targeting data instantaneously. They predicted Kresh movements based on previous encounters. They exploited every weakness. The humans are using guerrilla tactics, the Kresh overlord realized with growing alarm. They refused to engage directly. Order all ships to close formation. Protect the support vessels. But closing formation meant becoming a bigger target. The Dreadnought and Nemesis hit the compressed Kresh fleet with kinetic missiles. Not explosive warheads, but simple metal slugs moving at relativistic speeds. Each impact hit with the force of a nuclear weapon. 5 Kresh ships died in the first minute of that barrage. 8 more were crippled, tumbling out of formation with engines destroyed or command sections shattered. The Kresh fleet tried to adapt. They split into 3 groups, attempting to flank the human ships. But Admiral Chen predicted the move. He had studied every battle humanity ever fought, from ancient naval warfare to modern space combat. He knew how to use inferior numbers against superior forces. "Warspite relentless with me," he ordered. "We take the center group. Vengeance and Nemesis hit the left flank. Dreadnought, Valiant, Thunderchild, you have the right flank." The battle became chaos. The Kresh had never experienced combat like this. Human ships appeared, struck hard, and vanished. They used the sun's radiation to mask their signatures. They hid in the shadow of planets. They moved in ways that should have killed their crews from the acceleration forces. But somehow the humans endured. On the Defiance bridge, Admiral Chen gripped his chair as the ship rolled through a maneuver that pulled 5 G-forces. His vision grayed at the edges, but he kept his eyes on the tactical display. "Direct hit on Kresh Cruiser 7 Alpha," reported Commander Park. "Their engines are offline." "Leave it," Admiral Chen said. "Target the ships that can still fight." Athena 2 recommended target. The Defiance AI responded instantly. "Kresh flagship. It coordinates their fleet movements. Eliminating it will cause tactical confusion. Distance: 200,000 kilometers. Heavy point defense. Probability of successful attack run is 43%. Admiral Chen did not hesitate. "Thunderchild, Valiant, we are going for the flagship. Form on me." The 3 human destroyers accelerated toward the Kresh flagship. Point defense weapons lit up space, filling the void with energy fire. The Valiant's shields collapsed. Plasma burns scarred its hull, but it kept coming. "Valiant taking heavy damage," reported the communications officer. "They are venting atmosphere from deck 7 through 12. "Valiant, fallback," Admiral Chen ordered. "Negative," came the response from Valiant's captain. "We are not done yet." The 3 human ships fired simultaneously. Railguns, fusion lances, and missiles all hit the Kresh flagship within a 2-second window. The flagship's shields held for a moment, then collapsed. The armor beneath was strong, but not strong enough. The Kresh overlord had time to realize its mistake before the fusion lance burned through the command deck. The flagship broke apart, massive sections tumbling in different directions, but the cost was high. The Valiant, too damaged to maneuver, was hit by massed Kresh fire. The destroyer's reactor went critical. The crew had 30 seconds to evacuate. "This is Valiant," the captain's voice came through, calm despite everything. "Reactor breach in progress. All hands to escape pods. It has been an honor." The Valiant exploded in a flash of white light. 200 humans died in that moment. But they took 4 Kresh ships with them, the expanding debris cloud tearing through the enemy formation like shrapnel. Admiral Chen watched the tactical display update. The Valiant's icon went dark. "Mark them," he said quietly. "We will remember them." The battle raged for 3 more hours. The Thunderchild lost all weapons but kept fighting, ramming a Kresh cruiser with enough force to split it in half. The destroyer survived the collision barely. Its forward section crumpled, but its engines still functional. The Nemesis and Vengeance worked in tandem, covering each other's blind spots. When the Nemesis lost shields, the Vengeance positioned itself to take fire, while its sister ship regenerated defenses. Slowly, impossibly, the human ships were winning. The Kresh fleet, so confident in its numbers, was being torn apart. Kresh commanders, accustomed to easy victories against helpless colonies, found themselves against opponents who refused to break. Then the Indomitable arrived. Admiral Okonkwo's ship emerged from quantum space directly behind the Kresh formation. It had pushed its engines beyond safe limits to arrive in time. Coolant leaks vented into space. The hull glowed with excess heat. But every weapon was operational. All ships, this is Admiral Okonkwo. Her voice came through every communication channel. Sorry we are late. Let us finish this. The Indomitable was fresh, its shields at full strength, its ammunition stores full, and it was commanded by the woman who had first proven that humans could defeat the Kresh. The remaining Kresh ships, seeing the legendary human destroyer appear, broke. Some tried to run. Others surrendered. A few fought on out of desperation or honor. 6 hours after the battle began, it was over. Of the 47 Kresh capital ships, none survived intact. Some were destroyed completely. Others were captured, their crews taken prisoner. The support fleet was scattered, individual ships fleeing into deep space. Earth's defense fleet had won, but the cost was visible in every damaged hull. The Valiant was gone. Its crew scattered in escape pods that human rescue ships were still collecting. The Thunderchild would never fight again. Its entire forward section destroyed. Every ship carried scars. On the Defiance bridge, Admiral Chen allowed himself to sit. His hands shook slightly from adrenaline and exhaustion. Sir, we are receiving transmissions from across the galaxy, Commander Park reported. The battle was broadcast by independent observers. Everyone saw it. Admiral Chen nodded slowly. The galaxy had watched 8 human ships, then 9, defeat a fleet that outnumbered them 6-1. They had watched humans fight with a ferocity and determination that 3,000 years of the eternal calm had made the galaxy forget. Admiral Okonkwo's face appeared on the communication screen. Marcus status. We held the line, Sarah, Admiral Chen said. We held Earth, Admiral Okonkwo smiled. Yes, we did. Now let us show the galaxy what comes next. The broadcast from Earth reached every corner of the galaxy. The battle had been recorded by dozens of ships, from freighters passing through the system to Council observation drones that had been positioned to watch humanity's expected defeat. Instead, they recorded humanity's victory. On Station Harmony, Ambassador Chen watched the Council chamber descend into something she had never seen before. Panic. The Palaxian speaker tried to maintain order, but species were no longer listening. The Thorian representative's water sphere bubbled with agitation. Several smaller species had already left their delegation seats and were forming groups in the corners of the chamber, whispering among themselves. The humans defeated a fleet 6 times their size, a Vrek delegate said, its cybernetic voice cutting through the noise. The mathematics are clear. They possess superior technology and tactics. Fighting them would be costly. We must demand they surrender their weapons, the Palaxian insisted. The Eternal Calm Treaty requires it. The treaty is dead, said one of the Jathir elders. The ancient reptilian being stood from its seat for the first time in Chen's memory. It died when we allowed the Kresh to operate unchecked for 800 years. It died when we ignored suffering because it was inconvenient. The humans simply made the death official. Chen stepped forward to her delegation table. She did not raise her voice, but every species turned to listen. Earth has a message for the Council, Chen said. We are not your enemies. We never wanted to be, but we will not accept a peace that is built on looking away from injustice. The Kresh Dominion still exists. Their homeworld still holds millions of slaves. We are going to free them. You can join us or you can watch, but you will not stop us. This is exactly the kind of action the Eternal Calm was designed to prevent, the Palaxian said. You are proposing an invasion of sovereign territory. The Kresh enslaved members of your own council species, Chen replied. We found Palaxians in their holding cells, Thorians, Vrek, species from across the galaxy. You had monitoring stations that recorded every crime, and you did nothing. So yes, we are going to invade. We are going to end the Kresh Dominion. And then we are going to come back here and ask you a simple question. Will you build a better system? Or will you cling to this failed one? The 7 human destroyers, repaired and rearmed, jumped toward Kresh space. The Indomitable led the formation, Admiral Okonkwo once again at the helm. But this time they were not alone. 17 species from the frontier, tired of Council inaction, sent ships to join the human fleet. The vessels were not as advanced as human destroyers, but they represented something more important. They represented a choice to act instead of hide. Athena's voice came through the bridge speakers. Admiral, I have plotted the course to the Kresh homeworld. Estimated resistance includes the remaining defense fleet and orbital platforms. However, intelligence suggests the Kresh military is in disarray after the defeat at Seoul. Good, Admiral Okonkwo said. We do not want to destroy them. We want to liberate the people they have enslaved. Target military installations only. If Kresh ships surrender, we accept it. If they flee, we let them go. This is about justice, not revenge. Commander Rodriguez looked at the tactical display showing the Allied fleet. Admiral, some of our allies may not share that view. Several frontier species lost colonies to Kresh raids. They want vengeance. Then we lead by example, Admiral Okonkwo replied. We show them there is a difference between justice and massacre. That is what separates us from the Kresh. The combined fleet emerged in the Kresh home system 3 days later. The Kresh homeworld was a dark planet, its surface covered in industrial complexes and slave processing centers. Orbital platforms hung in space, massive structures designed to build and repair ships. But the defense fleet was gone. Most had been destroyed at Sol. The remainder had fled. Only a handful of ships remained, and they did not fire. Instead, a transmission came through. Human fleet, this is Commander Thex of the Kresh Defense Force. The Overlord is dead. The War Council is dead. Our fleet is destroyed. We surrender. Please do not glass our world. Admiral Okonkwo looked at the image of the Kresh commander on her screen. The alien looked exhausted, its carapace cracked from stress. We are not here to destroy your world, Admiral Okonkwo said. We are here to free the people you enslaved. Order all processing centers to release their captives. Order your forces to stand down. Do this and your world survives. Over the next 2 weeks, the liberation proceeded. Teams from human ships and allied vessels moved through the Kresh homeworld and its colonies. They found horror. Beings from dozens of species, some enslaved for generations, children born into captivity who had never known freedom. But they also found records, complete documentation of every raid, every slave taken, every world attacked. The Kresh had kept meticulous records of their crimes. Admiral Okonkwo transmitted these records to every planet in the galaxy, every council world, every independent system. She made sure everyone could see what 800 years of looking away had caused. The Kresh Dominion collapsed in 23 days. The military surrendered. The government dissolved. The slave population, nearly 40 million beings, was freed and transported to medical stations where human and allied doctors worked to help them recover. And the galaxy had to decide what came next. Ambassador Chen stood before the Galactic Council one final time. The chamber was different now. The Palaxian speaker had been replaced. Several species delegations were new, their governments having fallen in the aftermath of the revelations about the Kresh. The eternal calm is over, Chen said. Everyone in this chamber knows it. The question now is what replaces it. Earth offers you a choice. We can continue as we have, with humanity and our frontier allies forming our own defense coalition, separate from this council, or we can build something new together. She activated a holographic display. It showed a new treaty, one that had been drafted by legal experts from 20 species. We call it the Active Peace Treaty, Chen continued. It recognizes that peace requires action, not just words. It allows for proportional military forces. It requires intervention when member species are threatened. It creates a mutual defense coalition where no single species dominates. And most importantly, it acknowledges that the frontier matters, that every being in the galaxy deserves protection, not just those in comfortable core worlds. The Jather Elder spoke first. Humanity would lead this coalition? No species leads, Chen replied. That is the point. Earth will contribute our military technology and tactical expertise. Other species contribute their knowledge, resources, and perspective. We work together or we work separately. Those are the only options now. The vote took 3 days. It was not unanimous. Some species refused, clinging to the old ways. But 62 species signed the Active Peace Treaty. The majority of the Council and nearly every frontier species chose to join. The Treaty of Sol, as it became known, reshaped galactic politics. Human shipyards expanded massively in the months following the Kresh War, began producing destroyers for allied species. Each design was modified for the specific needs of its crew, but all shared the core human philosophy. Weapons were tools for protection, not conquest. Military strength existed to defend the vulnerable, not to intimidate the weak. 2 years later, Admiral Sarah Okonkwo stood on the bridge of the Indomitable. The ship had been upgraded, repaired, and improved. It was no longer alone. 40 human destroyers now patrolled the galaxy, working alongside hundreds of allied vessels. A transmission arrived from a frontier colony in the Helix sector. Unknown ships had been spotted attacking mining operations. The colonists were afraid. "Athena, how long to reach the Helix sector?" Admiral Okonkwo asked. 6 hours at maximum quantum speed, the AI replied. "Then that is where we go," Admiral Okonkwo said. "All ships prepare for combat operations. We are going to remind whoever is attacking that colony why they should not threaten our allies." The Indomitable jumped to quantum speed, followed by 3 more human destroyers and a squadron of allied vessels. They moved with confidence now, with purpose. The age of looking away was over. On Station Harmony, Ambassador Chen stood at the observation window, watching ships from a dozen species dock and depart. The station was busier now, more diverse. The frontier species were no longer outcasts. They were partners. Marcus approached with a datapad. "The latest reports, Ambassador. Piracy is down 80% in frontier space. Slavery has been almost completely eliminated in charted territory, and economic growth in former frontier colonies has increased by 40%. Chen smiled. "And the council species that did not sign the treaty?" Watching nervously, Marcus replied. "Several have quietly approached us about joining." Chen nodded. The galaxy was changing. Not everyone was happy about it. There were still threats, still challenges, but for the first time in 3,000 years, the galaxy was not hiding from its problems. The Indomitable emerged from quantum space above the threatened colony. The unknown attackers took one look at the human destroyer and its allied fleet, then fled without firing a shot. Admiral Okonkwo watched them go on the view screen. She could have pursued. She could have destroyed them. But that was not the point. "Stand down from combat alert," she ordered. "Contact the colony. Let them know they are safe." Athena's voice, always slightly amused, spoke up. "Admiral, shall I log this as another successful mission?" "Yes," Admiral Okonkwo replied. "And note that once again we did not fire a shot." Sometimes the threat of force is enough. She looked out at the stars, at the vast galaxy humanity now helped protect. They had torn through the calm, shattered the comfortable peace that allowed suffering to continue unnoticed. And in its place they had built something better. Not perfect, never perfect, but better. The Indomitable turned toward its next patrol route. Behind it, the colony's lights burned bright against the darkness of space. Humans had learned long ago that darkness was not something to fear. It was something to fill with light, and that was exactly what they intended to do.